This is a story about two Geometry Dash players that were infamous for their insane achievements, their creations, and their interesting sense of humor.
If you made your banner in Paint, it's gonna look like garbage.
This is Zobros, a legend whose levels inspired millions, including an even stranger creator that I'll talk about later in the video. These two are controversial and their story began with one terrible level. Check this original level by Funny Game out. It's called Atlas. These innovative crystals and these cool looking knives look sharp, right? Now, keep in mind that Zobros would become known as one of the most original creators of all time. Exciting, right? Guess what his first level looks like? Yeah, he just added a few spikes to Atlas and called it a day. He was too lazy to even copy the last 20%. You may not believe me, but by the end of his career, Zobros was a figure so legendary that when he said someone paid him to build this, I actually believed him. This is Zobros' part in Artificial Ascent, a very popular extreme demon, but the majority of it is not by him. He got bored during the building process and the level's host decided to fill in the gaps for him. Going back, Zobros' level may have been nothing special, but his second level would change millions of lives. This is bioluminescent and it uses an interesting effect. It's not actually created by Zobros, rather it's made by a dude named Pineapple. Clearly there's some work that needs to be done. Here's Rainbow Dust with this 3-second long part that would seemingly stand out to Zobros. Now, what would actually happen if we were to combine these two interesting segments? Update 1.9 gave players the ability to use 4 colors at the same time. People didn't realize it at the time, but everything would change when they crossed that wave portal.
It was like mind-blowing to me.
The way that Zobros does it is he's gonna lock that design in and he's gonna optimize it.
After seeing this, dozens of creators would start making their own level with the 9 circles effect, with many of them being featured. Almost instantly, Zobros had turned from the copycat to a creating legend that everyone wanted to copy. Zobros then created Acropolis, a level that not only placed in the top 10 but did so while keeping the entire level at slow speed. Zobros once again proved his skill by becoming the first victor of Ice Cream by Cyclic. As you can tell by the craftsmanship of this level, Cyclic was not known as a creator. Rather, he was considered the best demon slayer at the time. Over the following weeks, Zobros would prove that he was not only one of the most impressive creators, but also an unforgettable player. Cyclic was the winner in terms of sheer numbers, but he didn't beat the hardest demon. That honor went to Zephyr, who in the twilight of his career beat the 4th hardest level on the list. The hardest demons had no legitimate victors. Their creators actually used cheats to trick the game into believing they were skilled enough to do crazy stuff, like fly through these monsters' chompers, or somehow do this straight up insane ship maneuver. These players didn't know it at the time, but they were exploring uncharted territory with the odds stacked heavily against them. Unexpectedly, after nailing some insane wave timings, gravity ball clicks, and specific ship maneuvers, Cyclic would slay the 3rd hardest level, Cataclysm. Even more astonishing was Zobros, who was not only now a respected creator, but a qualified star grinder, and someone who now found himself in the last part of the 2nd hardest demon, Alphabet X. An initially incomprehensible maze of memory that will definitely take you a few thousand attempts to learn. Zobros would make history and slay Alphabet X. After his completion, Zobros would notably call the level an insane demon rather than an extreme.
He always used to say even the hardest levels were like easy demon. And I don't know if it was a joke or if he was just that damn good at the game, but regardless, I found that hilarious that he always used to do that.
Although in this case, the community agreed with Zobros. Soon enough, Cataclysm and Alphabet X would be swapped on the list. cementing Cyclic as the best player of his era. Cyclic would go on to be a legendary player and somewhat of a creator on the side. His most famous creation ironically being Sonic Wave, the most popular remake of 9 Circles. During this time, Zobros was building his reputation as a legendary creator, and he became a community icon.
The uniqueness that you were getting out of them, you wouldn't find in many other levels. You can distinctly tell by looking at a level, you know, this is some weird kind of crazy thing, and this is Zobros. You can tell it's difficult. It's got wonky gameplay that you don't really see.
I find it hilarious how this is like one of the most popular demons, and he still got away with the sound.
After seeing these levels, an unknown creator named KrmaL would start making maps. He was inspired by Zobros, but also currently irrelevant. So we're back to Zobros, who finished off update 1.9 with Ultimate Demon Mix. A level which mixed demons in an ultimate way, or something, I don't know. Zobros was at his peak, slaying multiple demons a day. He had one of the fastest rises to prominence in GD history, but little did he know that when 2.0 finally released on the 26th of August 2015, that everything would change for him. This update had a vast array of new features which would change the level editor forever. Utilizing these features were Robtop's 2 new levels, one being Geometrical Dominator and the other being the hardest level Robtop had ever created, Deadlocked. A level that the vast majority of the player base couldn't even initially play because you needed a certain amount of secret coins to get in. But whether or not you could make it out, that was up to you. Everyone had their sights set on Deadlocked, most failing to this first wave part, which was so fast most players would lose control and die. Alright, so it's too fast, huh? As we already know, Zobros is a creative guy, so I guess this was his way of solving things. By skipping the hardest part of Deadlocked and easily passing every other segment, Zobros became the first victor of Deadlocked. It only took him around 30 minutes. At this point, Zobros was such an icon he could seemingly make anything and have it get 1 million downloads. Zobros released Aluminum, which had some controversial reception.
Everything looks so messy, mashed together. It just almost feels like he just put some random stuff. Because if you go back a little bit, some of the sun flares, like, they're just positioned randomly and they're not highlighting anything.
I think Aluminum was a bittersweet level for me because I had loved the stuff that Zobros had done in the past. Once you've made something that is almost a plateau of how good you could get, for me it's like I don't think I can make another level because it's just going to be a disappointment no matter what. And I think Zobros was going through a similar thing. He had made all these crazy, phenomenal, impactful levels, and it's just, what could you do, you know? You might as well just have fun at that point. The rest of his downfall is very similar, where the levels stopped being, you know, these crazy, influential, really cool things, and it more so got into, he's just messing around, you know, having fun.
This shows exactly what the humor of like KrmaL and Zobros are. Haha, it's your man is a bit backwards.
Zobros revealed that he hated the new update. His hands commonly hurt too much to get progress on any difficult levels, and soon enough, he would give an ultimatum to the creator of Geometry Dash, Robtop. The GD forums were briefly hacked in an incident that would come to be known as the Love Baba situation. Zobros took inspiration from the name, and eventually he would release his final rated level.
If you've played that level, you know that the entire thing, it's like a shit post.
Like, he was mad about something as far as I remember, and because of that, he decided to just like butcher half the level and to see if Robtop would still rate it.
Yeah, I remember he said, if Love Baba doesn't get rated, then I'm gonna quit the game.
This was nothing like the Zobros people knew. The community was unsure of how a level like this should be treated, but Robtop made his decision clear. After not rating the level for several weeks, Zobros would decide to quit. Briefly after Zobros quit, Robtop would decide to revert his decision, but it was too late. Zobros would occasionally post some joke levels, which still got hundreds of thousands of downloads just from association with the name Zobros, but he had effectively quit.
Zobros never went back on his word, and he did not return ever since that statement.
Hand problems. I think that was genuinely it, was the reason that he stopped playing, or at least like played a lot less.
As Zobros' flame seemed to burn out, he seemed to pass the torch to a new player.
I thought it was very interesting to see my name in a level that I had no involvement in.
You see, this person sarcastically credited for creating the monsters of Love Baba was about to change everything. Although you may be wondering, why specifically mention Krazyman50, who now goes by the name KrmaL? Well, the start of his creating career was met with both unlikely success and a ton of controversy. Here's alive, and it was entirely given to him by Galzo.
When I played this for the first time, I was like, wait, where's KrmaL's part? Where's he coming in? And then this just hits you.
This extremely difficult ship part at the end of Alive would become the first of KrmaL's many trolls. Remember Deadlocked? Well, KrmaL made a level which may not look like much, but I'll change the opacity slider to 50% for your viewing experience. Yeah, an invisible version of Deadlocked.
It's insanely stupid. Why would anyone want to do this? Like, why? Why?
It took absolutely no creating skill to make this. He literally only used one alpha trigger, highlighted every object, and changed opacity to 0. Although, this achievement definitely took playing skill. In the following months, KrmaL would infamously follow Robtop across Twitch streams.
Anytime I would see him in any chat, I would pretty much ask him at least once or twice, like, hey, I verified this invisible level, would you mind rating it? Because I think it'd be funny.
After enough pressure, KrmaL was finally able to convince Robtop to rate invisible Deadlocks. The next level KrmaL made was Rearm.
He was already a good player. He was not known for creating. And the fact that this level had lyrics in it makes you immediately, like, drawn into it.
You can either put me up or you can put me down.
You are my pilot.
This is the greatest singing of all time.
I think it's interesting seeing like his improvement from unarmed, like the original one.
I was trying to get the hang of moving objects and like backgrounds and that sort of thing. I was, colorful visual patterns to match the song. It all kind of just like seemed like it came together just like magic.
KrmaL was finally gaining respect in the creator community. He followed this up with Lit Fuse, arguably his best level yet.
Lit Fuse is one of my favorite KrmaL levels, and one of the things I think it nails is progression. The level starts out very slow and somewhat serene, getting more and more intense, culminating right at the end, with the end part being one of the most creative level parts to exist at the time.
And I had like made that big like weird grid shape thing that was actually a shape that I just learned how to make from like a lesson we did in geometry class, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna put that in the geometry dash level.
These days, the hardest level was far and away Riot's Bloodbath, primarily known for its tight strafe-like corridors and brutal timings. Now, at first KrmaL started this level called Smiling Cats as a joke, but soon it would become a weapon. The level you're seeing is Conical Depression. Now, it may look like the icon should have died a ton of times by now, but check this out. Now that I have hitboxes enabled, as you can see, this is just about survivable.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like a bad level, but you have to give props to him for just having the balls to make something like that and then verify it.
After somehow verifying this level, the demon list determined that Conical Depression would place at number 2. Sure, Conical Depression had the hardest beginning, but the rest of the level paled in comparison to Bloodbath's sheer difficulty. KrmaL was seemingly inches away from toppling the hardest rated Geometry Dash level, though Bloodbath wasn't unconquerable. During this time, a level called Phobos was mysteriously uploaded by Tigrisek and rated. Many argued the level was harder than Bloodbath, however, upon seeing this, members of the team behind Bloodbath were enraged. They campaigned against Phobos' rating as the level was thought to be illegitimately completed. Tigrisek was pressured into making an easier version of Phobos. After seeing this controversy, Robtop would decide to unrate Phobos, and in response, Tigrisek deleted the level. KrmaL was intrigued by Phobos and decided to take it on.
Like a big thing for me when I was verifying the levels, I was like, I want to leave this untouched because imperfections in this level are so funny to me.
Finally, after over a month of thumb pain and many fails, KrmaL made it to the last 10%. A part that, due to the changes Tigrisek made before, was a shadow of its former self. It's the clear example of the difference between old Phobos and new Phobos. In the older version, you had to somehow control both the cube and the ship through this part. The new one is far easier because you only have to control the ship. The GD community was somewhat underwhelmed by the verification. Therefore, Phobos would place at number 2 again. When you look at it from an outside perspective, Zobros and KrmaL have incredibly similar rises, although their falls were at risk of proving to be quite similar. For now, Phobos may have been KrmaL's most impressive playing achievement, but during this time he would become famous for his creating abilities. KrmaL released Heartbeat to critical acclaim.
just perfectly done. The decoration, the sync, the song, the theme.
Wow, you can come up with really, really cool stuff with just having even a simple theme, Heartbeat. Being in one of my favorite creators' levels that they were then to upload was a huge deal for me, and really was nice because at the time not many people were building in my style, which is themed. More so, less focus on effects and glow and more focus on an adventure.
KrmaL was consistently creating levels with great decoration and satisfying synchronization. He used Geometry Dash to tell stories. Falling Up is about a cube starting on the surface and finishing all the way up in the clouds.
Back in the old days, the sync in levels was a lot worse. And Falling Up was a really, really good one at this because it was nailing every single beat.
I love everything about this level. It's one of those levels, I would give this level a 10. I gave it a 10 back then, I still give it a 10. It aged really well.
KrmaL was also famous for making original gameplay schemes that were very difficult. High was such an intense level that it became commonplace for players to die very late into their runs. But KrmaL was also controversial for his occasional joke levels. Like Zobros, KrmaL became notorious for being able to post pretty much anything on the servers and get it rated, including don't rate this level. Are you serious, Robtop?
I just wanted to make it like this really typical, lazy, obnoxiously generic level. Because I was looking at call at the time, there was a lot of funny ideas exchanged. Despite what the title says, I did ask Rob if he would rate it, and he was like, sure, why not?
KrmaL also collaborated with several creators. Valor was made entirely in the USA, baby. Elite Z Rebirth revived an old Impossible level which Airswipe helped decorate. Most interesting was a collab with the creator Manix titled MANIX.
Original thing that happened, Rob had said as a joke that a collab between me and Manix would be where just Manix makes the level and then I turn it invisible. As a goof, we actually made that level exist.
Despite the memes though, deep down, everyone knew what KrmaL was truly capable of. At this point, KrmaL had so much influence that many levels Robtop made in the future would specifically use the songs of music artists that KrmaL helped make popular. Influence can be a double-edged sword though, and KrmaL was about to find this out when he previewed his new Extreme Demon. This is Black Blizzard. It was not only one of the best decorated levels of all time, but possibly the hardest level ever if it were to be verified and rated.
The community went crazy for it and the song, and it was one of those things where those added up together to generate an unbelievable amount of excitement for the project coming out. With this huge amount of excitement, there becomes a lot of pressure on the back of none other than KrmaL.
The servers of Geometry Dash were compromised and KrmaL was the primary target of this operation. Exploiters forcibly seized a copy of Black Blizzard from KrmaL's account, leading the level to be leaked on the Geometry Dash servers for anyone to play. Now, Black Blizzard's song creator was exposed to the public. The music artist was Kreo and his pages were flooded with talks of Black Blizzard, causing a major controversy. KrmaL would continuously mute people who mentioned the song's creator in his Twitch chat, but it was too late. Many GD YouTubers took this opportunity to take a copy of Black Blizzard for themselves. This situation sickened KrmaL. What was once a passion project made to impress and inspire people would turn into a cheap hype train. KrmaL no longer had the mentality to take his magnum opus on, so Black Blizzard would be made easier, and when released it could hardly be considered a top 10 level. KrmaL streamed a verification on Twitch, a platform which has a rule that all content must remain on the site for 24 hours. Using this rule, KrmaL would strike videos which reposted his completion of Black Blizzard, only causing even more controversy. Funnily enough, one of the players that had been practicing on a leaked copy, Sir Giester, was actually able to post a video of him completing Black Blizzard on YouTube before even KrmaL. Just like Zobros, KrmaL would find himself sick of Geometry Dash, and his career would slowly head on a downward trajectory.
So he hyped up a lot of GD content creators, players, creators about this level that it was coming out, and he asked people to make a video about it. Of like some other creators saying like, yo, this is gonna be like really awesome, this level's gonna be so sick. It's probably the best level from KrmaL I've ever seen. Like quotes like that. I started playing this level and I was just like, what the f am I looking at?
Hungry Humphrey is what I would refer to as a stroke of genius. One day I was just like, I want to make a level called Hungry Humphrey. I don't know why. That's just a thought that came into my head. So I hit random on the Newgrounds audio portal and I made that crazy realistic face, and I was like, that's pretty funny. I was just showing it to some friends, like, hey, look at what I'm making, and they were just like, oh god, what's wrong with you?
This funny guy here is Hungry Humphrey. Much to the frustration of some, this level would also be rated.
But if you think that he didn't work hard on those levels, you're greatly mistaken.
After Hungry Humphrey, KrmaL's account would go silent for months. Spectators were at least expecting KrmaL to finally verify an extremely buffed version of High Life known as Low Death.
The Low Death was made to mess with Migwort a little bit. I think we were just screwing around on stream. I was like, what if I just like buff this level? Yeah, I guess I kind of didn't really properly judge how hard it would be to release that level, so I ended up spending a long time trying to verify it. Eventually I did just like start losing interest in it, because, you know, it's a stupid joke level, but because I'd spent so much time on it, people kind of had this expectation that I would keep working on it, so it became a very common thing for people to bring it up, and it got pretty annoying.
KrmaL would suddenly delete Low Death on April Fools. Because of this, no one knew if he was serious. Was he gonna end up just like Zobros, leaving the community with one final joke level? Over 2018 and 2019, this seemed to be the case. During this time, I noticed that there was no creators quite like KrmaL to fill the void. Discussion around levels in the community just wasn't as interesting, and many people wanted KrmaL to return, even if he wouldn't be as skilled as he used to be. But if there's anyone who can go above and beyond the community's expectations, it would be KrmaL. To prove that he maintained his legendary status, he would verify his hardest level yet, EXO.
So with EXO, like, I was kind of under a lot of like pressure, it felt like. You know, I was kind of clashing with some parts of the community a little bit, just because, you know, there was the whole thing with the nerfing and the song and, you know, all sorts of like random weird dramas and stuff. So I was just like, you know, I don't really care what you think. I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
Despite being controversial, millions would be interested by EXO. The community went insane. Everybody started talking about KrmaL again. He even randomly verified Low Death on April Fools of 2020.
Early 2020, I was thinking, you know, no one's really paying attention. It would be kind of funny if I just kind of dropped it on April Fools.
A new golden age would begin. KrmaL would start constructing his next masterpiece, a creation that would surprise everyone once again. At least, that's the story I would have liked to tell, but KrmaL hasn't released any levels in years. During my interview with him, my primary goal became to find out if he would quit Geometry Dash for good. You seem to have like a fascination with bad or annoying levels. Why is that?
I think there's kind of like an endearing factor almost to levels that most people would consider like bad or annoying. My favorite level of all time, completely unironically, is this level called Yoi Did. Levels like that, they're so like carefree about whether they're actually good. They just kind of make levels and do them how they want. I aspire to make levels just completely free of judgment.
In this interview, I expected the strangeness of KrmaL and his career to be the focus, but ironically, what stood out the most to me was how normal and human his problems seemed.
This is kind of feeling looming over me, where if I make one more level that could be deemed even remotely non-serious, it's gonna flop.
What's ironic is that what you're talking about with your modern creator philosophy is in complete contradiction to why you like Yoi Did.
I do have the freedom, but I feel like there's an expectation to live up to, and I would like to try to at least shoot for it if I can. I think more so than anything, it's just real life catching up to me is why new levels aren't coming out, but I'm still working on stuff, even if it's not significant progress. It's progress nonetheless, and that's okay for me.
KrmaL's future seems somewhat uncertain. I can't say what he'll create, or if he'll ever create again. As for Zobros, what I can tell you is that nowadays he seems to be focused on becoming the fastest rolled out speedrunner, frequently streaming on his Twitch account.
I will not return to Geometry Dash, so don't bother asking about it.
We did some streams together and just, you know, chatting, trying to get some records and rolled out, so that was pretty cool.
Maybe Zobros and KrmaL's levels are weird, but the motivations of the players behind them weren't. In the modern day, millions attempt to express themselves creatively, whether it be through videos, music, or their art, and for Zobros and KrmaL, I guess Geometry Dash just happened to be the perfect canvas for them to express their sometimes strange thoughts. There will never ever be another player like Zobros or KrmaL again, and there will never ever be another player like you again. The truth is, what makes Geometry Dash so beautiful is that, much like real life, no matter how similar you think your journey is to someone else's, the entire adventure can't and won't be replicated again. So, go out there and make a story that you'd be proud of telling. Just the fact that I got you know, Yuan is kind of crazy.
I get it. Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I literally that was not intentional, bro. That was okay.